In this video, I will show the entire printing process of my newest print. I will not fast forward at all, but occasionally I will talk in order to show what's going on. The first impression covers the entire area of the print. I'm using a very light gray color, so it won't be super obvious in the end of the print, but the main purpose is to flatten the paper and help the following impressions go smoother. Because this impression is so wide and flat, I spend a lot of time with the bearing, using a lot of pressure in order to get the best results. The paper I'm using was moistened before this video. The reason I always keep them in the Ziploc bags is because it prevents them from drying out. Here you'll see me doing 2 gradations on this block. I just added rice paste to the block, and now I'm adding pigment to the brush. When I do this kind of gradation, I always add the pigment onto the same side of the brush. In order to achieve this, I put a dot on my brush so I can remember which side I did. I can usually get away with no rice paste for this impression. The reason I'm doing it is just to get a little richer color on top of the mountain. This block will have 2 areas of color. I'll be doing a flat area of blue for the lake on the bottom, and a very light gradation on the top for the sky. Again, I'll have two areas of color on this, a flat impression on the bottom and a light gradation on the bottom of the mountain. Here you'll see me rub the print a little bit. I put too much pigment and paste on this last impression, so there's a little extra on the surface. Now I'll be doing another impression of that bottom flat color. And again, I'll be doing two impressions of this flat green color at the bottom. You may notice some extra carved areas on this block that I'm not using. These were areas that I'd carved before, but after testing I decided not to use them. Again, I'm doing another impression, just to deepen the color in the foreground. These smaller areas require less pressure and time with the parent. This is my favorite impression of the print. It's a deep blue gradation from the bottom, and it gives the water a little depth and movement. I had to be very careful when adding pigment on the brush here. If I had too much, it would fill the small carved spaces and print incorrectly. final impression actually uses no pigment. It's going to emboss the name of the print on the margin. Although hard to see now, in the right light, the embossing comes out really well. At the end of this video, there will be a high quality scan where it's much more obvious. Here I'm laying out the prints to dry. The goal is to have them dry completely flat, so typically you put them between some sort of semi-absorbent materials and let them sit there for a few days. I still haven't found a very cost-effective and simple solution, but here I'm experimenting with some canvas and cardboard I had laying around. Here you'll see me stacking some weights on top. I'm just really trying to put some weight on it and keep it flat while they dry. After waiting a few days, the prints should be dry and flat. So at the end of this process, I think I'm pretty happy with how they came out. They look pretty consistent, and I think it's a nice looking print. In the future, I probably hope to do some other videos, maybe more printing if I make a new print, but also carving and other steps of the process that maybe aren't seen as much, so look out for those.